This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Sean Preston.
Welcome to the Good Neighbor Podcast. Today we have another good neighbor on with us today, and that is Jessica Pino of Bona Fide Psychotherapy and Counselling. What's going on?
Hey, thanks for having me. Looking forward to this, my first podcast.
Super happy to have you on board. We've met before in the past, had a chance to do some small talk. So I'm super excited to have you on the show. We get to do a little bit more deep dive into who you are and to talk about your business. So for those who are listening, why don't we dive right into it? And why don't you tell us a little bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Jessica, as you were saying. So I am the owner of Bona Fide Psychotherapy and Counselling. We are located in Barrie, Ontario. Our in-office is at Cedar Point Drive, and we do also offer virtual services across Ontario as well. So if you are, outside the area and you're within Ontario, we can still provide therapy. We do offer a variety of different services. So we have 4 therapists on the team, with myself included. We serve children and adolescents 10 years up. We also offer specialty services for trauma, PTSD, people who are first responders, military or veterans, and just as well as any adults who are looking for therapy. And there's also a specialty service that I offer, which is for therapists who are EMDR trained, which is a type of therapy out there that's evidence-based. And I do the consulting with those therapists who are looking to either, tune up their skills or who are looking to get certified in that particular type of therapy. Bona fide really is about being, it's a Latin word for in good faith. So we really embody that throughout our practice as therapists about, being real, being genuine, and being authentic throughout your journey.
That's really, really nice. I mean, there's a lot there to unpack, a lot of different specialties. Do you have one in particular yourself that you kind of highlight in one particular area?
Yeah. So for myself, particularly, I focus more on the trauma, PTSD, and complex trauma with either just adults or first responders. That's typically my area of expertise, as well as just supporting therapists with their cases in EMDR therapy. And then for the others, they also offer that type of therapy. Some of them EMDR, which again is eye movement, reprocessing, desensitization. So it's a little bit of a long spiel to get into today, but it is an evidence-based practice for PTSD that can be really helpful, especially in the first responders world.
Very nice. I feel like there's a little bit of correlation from what you do to what I do. And at first that sounds a little crazy, but Jeff and I podcast all day on Tuesday and on Wednesday. And so there's a lot of like back-to-back 1-hour conversations where we're like using our brain the whole time. And then by the time the day is done, I'm tapped because I've talked too much. Fair. It's engaging in your brain. Do you find that it's like that on some days, having to really kind of dig deep and dive into serious conversations with people to try to, help break forth information that in turn then allows you to be able to help them with navigating these issues?
Yeah, absolutely. Like for me, same thing. My husband kind of knows if he's home when I get home, it's like, let's not talk for at least half an hour. Like, I love you, but I just need to like sit in silence for a moment. And it's not that, I don't love what I do or anything, but it is emotionally taxing because beyond just therapy, it's really about that therapeutic relationship. And part of that is how we as therapists are showing up in the room with our clients, like being present, fully present with that person, that takes a lot of mental energy. So yes, definitely at the end of the day, it's like, okay, I need my downtime and then we can chat after that. But I would agree, it can be a lot when it's back to back in that way.
Yeah, totally. Everybody's got their journey, how they kind of get into doing what they're doing. Some people, I'll joke, they come out of the womb and they know exactly what they want to do and they stick to that. Evidence in history of a lot of that in the generation before us. And in today's day and age, not so much. I'm just curious to ask you, what was your journey like leading into what you're doing today?
So I've always known I wanted to work in some sort of helping field. In all honesty, initially back in the day, like this was high school days though, I was like wanting to be a hairdresser. And then I realized like I just had no creativity in that way. I'm like, okay, that's not for me. But I just knew I wanted to be in the helping field. So I did, go into social work, which I enjoyed that degree because it was a bit more broad. So it wasn't like I had to specialize in counseling and therapy or I had to specialize in one area. It was broad. So I could, work in school boards. I could work in hospitals. I can work with older adults, younger adults. So I really liked that it was more of a broad degree. And then, when I went into my master's, that's where I specialized more in mental health. And I worked like primarily in the community for the longer part of my beginning of my career. So I worked in community mental health. So for organizations such as Canadian Mental Health Association, where it was a lot more crisis work, early psychosis intervention, these sorts of things. And what I learned through that process was that, again, going back to that, the therapeutic relationship and how that was really the cornerstone of effective work with people, especially in crisis situations. Like you're having to build that rapport with people like quick, right? And you're not staying with them long term usually. So that's kind of my journey on how it got me there. And then just my own mental health struggles that I had growing up and just wanting to support people just from knowing what I've gone through and that sort of thing and the struggles that I had, I really was intrigued to learn more about it too. I mean, I guess selfishly part of that was for myself, like, okay, what is mental health? What does this mean? What is anxiety? Where does it come from? How do you get help? So I became really passionate from my own experiences and then just working in the community. And from there, when I was doing particular placements in just organizations, I don't know, there was a part of me that felt like something just didn't fit in those organizations to a degree, like where we were almost taught a special way, especially in school, of like how to present yourself as a therapist, right? Like do this, don't do this, etc., etc. And it just didn't really fit with how I saw a therapist. Like when I was going through my own therapy, and as I still do, I didn't feel comfortable sharing to a person that was super like clinical. I didn't get like a soft vibe or feeling from. So that's where Bona Fide came out of, is when, I started getting into the private world of wanting to create a team and an atmosphere where, we present as human, we're evidence-based, and that's absolutely true. We, specialize in a lot of therapies, but we're also people. And we want that to shine through so that we can build that relationship with our clients.
Yeah, there's a lot of industries out there where instead of naming that industry, you could pretty much say it's a people business.
Yeah,
human beings are interacting with each other, and not only having the knowledge to learn about these things and these techniques and how to be able to help people navigate through troubling times or experiences that they've had in the past, but just being a good human being and being able to be approachable and making that human connection with somebody really goes a long way to building trust and getting that information as a professional that you need to really help move them forward.
Absolutely. And it's proven in, research is that's one of the, your therapeutic relationship with your therapist is one of the, indicators of successful therapy and outcomes.
Yeah, you hear stories of people who, it's starting to come, I think, a lot more than it was in the past, where that was kind of frowned upon, especially in men, where you got to have the man thing going on, and I'm better than, I don't need it. I'm just gonna shove it inside and not talk about it. To getting to a place where it's wildly more acceptable, but still, we still have a bit of ways to go, in my opinion, on making it across the board. Like, yeah, if you need help, you need to go talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Right? And, your mom's not your therapist. Your best friend's not your therapist.
Mm-hmm.
They're just not armed with the tools to be able to help you navigate through that. You can confide in people for sure. I'm not saying don't do that.
Right.
But, speaking with the right person and obviously making that connection. with them, because some people have not done that, right? They've gone in, they found somebody, and then it didn't work out because they weren't able to connect.
Yeah.
And then discouragement happens, and then they still have their problems, but not being able to find the right person.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Like, it's okay to shop around for your therapist. In all honesty, like, look around, go on Psychology Today or do your local Google search, and there's always an option to request a 15-minute phone consultation. And then sometimes even after a few sessions, you might be like, not my person. And that's okay. I always encourage people who come to me for the first time too, and over time, I'm like, if there's a time where you're feeling like this isn't working for you, let me know so that I could help connect you to someone that might be a better fit. And that's okay. We're not taking that personally. We know that that's a big part of effective treatment.
Yeah, totally. Are there any like myths or misconceptions you get from people out there?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot, like, honestly, again, I think some people think that you go to therapy when you're in crisis, or you need X, Y, and Z symptoms to go to therapy. Like, yes, I help a lot with PTSD and trauma and, anxiety and these sorts of things, but that's not the only clients I have or the only reason why you need to go to therapy. A lot of times it could be things like unlearning maybe some unhelpful thinking patterns that you have from your past, right? Whether it's you're not good enough or you're not worthy, and these sorts of thoughts that actually put roadblocks into your success, right? It's going to stop you maybe from applying for those new jobs, from making new connections, from getting into a romantic relationship. So it's about that piece, as well as, I don't know, we're not taught about emotions. I never learned about emotions growing up. And they're key to humans, right? They often, they're telling us signs. We need to listen to them. And we also need to learn what they mean. We need to learn how to manage them better, right? How to regulate our emotions in a more effective way. How to maybe manage our stress more effectively, or even just personal growth. If you want to learn more insight into awareness into yourself and, personal growth, then you can come to therapy too. It doesn't have to be this like particular symptom or crisis situation that you're going through to be able to connect to a therapist.
Yeah, just being able to let that information out in a safe space to help understand how to navigate those laneways. I mean, something happens and yeah, you're in crisis for sure. I mean, you need to go right away and figure out how to deal with that. But, even if something's coming up before and saying like, this could be a problem down the line, or maybe I'm getting anxiety, or I'm too shy to go,
Yep.
Ask or do something because of this person, or because of, what might happen. I'm not sure what would happen. The unknown is a big thing for human beings.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And setting that up, talking with somebody to be able to, show the path, the light at the end of the tunnel. It's like, hey, it's a dark tunnel. I don't know what's on the other side. Help them light the lamp so they can at least navigate their way through it. Right.
Exactly. Or even just learning, like, life is full of uncertainty and unknowns. So if we don't know how to sit with that and sit within that discomfort, causes a lot of problems in our lives, right? We try to seek and gain control in these different areas. Often leads to maybe not so great decisions or self-sabotage, or blocks us from proceeding forward with our goals.
There's the word therapy, there's the word psychotherapy, there's holistic therapy, there's all of these different words out there. And every business has their unique specialties. Do you find that there's is it like a blanket thing across the board? Like, I hear all these names all the time on these different, everyone's got a different specialization. Like, is there a difference between just a regular therapist and a psychotherapist? Like, what's the difference?
Yeah, like, a lot of times it's based on your different designation as a professional. So, for example, there are psychotherapists registered through registered psychotherapists. They're a college of their own. So we kind of all have our own governing colleges, the ones that are licensed. So with us, our full team is actually registered social workers. So we're governed and licensed through the Ontario College of Social Workers and Social Service Workers. So we're registered social workers, psychotherapists. And then, so if you are looking for therapy, just a side note, and you have insurance, you do want to look at who your insurance covers, what professionals. So that's something to just take note of. And then also too, there is a difference between like a wellness therapist versus a psychotherapist, right? So just knowing, getting more information on those pieces before booking, I'd say would be helpful too. But it is like a kind of complicated web to navigate. Like there's psychologists, there's psychiatrists, right? So there's different professionals that can support you.
And there's a little knowledge nugget for everybody listening. I just learned something, so I'm pretty sure a lot of our listening now might have picked up a couple things from that. That was great.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you, we as business owners, we certainly are very passionate about what we do. It's one of the reasons why we go in and we love it, and we get to build something to help people. That's mainly why business owners get into business, and then obviously the quality of life that can come along with that if we're scaling properly.
Yeah.
But through that, sometimes it's easy to just go to work. It's not really work. You're just having fun all the time. And sometimes we tend to work a little bit more than we get to play. And so I call it a harmony. It's not a balance because it's not perfectly balanced.
Yeah.
And for the most part, it never is. But having a harmony between the two allows you to have that mental space, enjoy life outside of work. Helping people obviously is very important to everybody who's in business. But having that personal lifestyle and enjoying everything that life has to offer is also super important. So when you're not working on or in your business, what does Jessica like to do for fun?
Yeah. I like a few things. I mean, I definitely have a big passion for the gym and fitness. So I do, love to work out or do things that are more active. I love hanging out with my husband, and I have a dog. She's a Pomeranian. Her name is Pom Pom. So, yeah. So, I had to call her Pom Pom. Love hanging out with her, friends, family. I love going to concerts. I'm not going to lie. People might not be like, oh God, why? I'm a big country fan. Like I love country music. So country concerts are one of my favorite things to do. And when I can, I really love to travel. That's another. I love to see other parts of the world, or even just, especially with our winters being so long, honestly, just going somewhere hot to break that up.
Yeah.
That would be another joy that I get, is just going on the beach.
Have you been to Nashville?
I haven't. I really want to go. It's definitely on the.
Oh my God. I've been twice. I just came back earlier this month.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's super fun. I don't have the hat in my office right now, or I'd show it to you. It says "damn hot" on it, and it's from Hattie B's Chicken. It's right on Broadway. So like the one main strip is called Broadway, and that's where all the bars are, where you have Carrie Underwood's bar, Luke Bryan's bar. You've got all the famous country superstars have their own bar, and they're all tiered and they're soundproofed. So you have a different bar on each level. So you have 5 bands in one bar, and you just go to all of them and check out the food, the drink. And it's really cool. You have people that are standing out ripping guitar riffs outside of a window when you're just walking by. It is an experience. So I highly recommend that you go.
Absolutely. Would you say that was your favorite part of Nashville, or what's your favorite part?
Yeah, I went twice. So one, my youngest sister is pretty talented. So she's a singer-songwriter. So young, when she was in her early 20s, we went pretty hard at taking the stab like most artists do to see how far can you take this. Yeah. So we did a CD release party out there. That was a lot of fun. We got to just walk into the grocery store, buy a case of beer, and then put it on the back of a golf cart. And then we were sitting in there drinking beer while a guy brought us through this neighborhood. Looks like you would. Like you walk out of your house, anybody walk into your house, if you see out your window right now, please take a look. It looks like that. It looks like just normal houses, and they're all recording studios.
Oh,
so it's
wow.
Like there's Jason Aldean, there's Carrie Underwood's studio, there's Luke Bryan right there, and you're like, holy, it's like you're right out front. Like they're walking in and out of these homes doing their stuff. That's where they do their jams. So that was a lot of fun. And I also enjoyed it's always a big party when you go down there in Nashville. They have these kind of trolleys with a bar in the middle, and you sit with your friends on the outside and you pedal.
Oh yes, I've seen those. I've seen that like on different reels and stuff of people doing that. Like fun.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. We had Canadians on one side and another group of straight Americans on the other side. and they found out that we were Canadian. So they started chirping us, but we're Canadian, so we can chirp pretty good. So we're just drifting back and forth, friendly banter, but kind of getting to the line where it's like, are they really serious about what they're saying? Like, we don't know. And it was really fun because we were going 1-to-1 on a playlist of like good Canadian, like we play Canadian country song and then back. And then we ended up playing Stronger Beer. And it was just really, really funny. We were all laughing and they were laughing too. And then we all got off together at a pit stop and they bought us drinks. And then we're all friends after that. So that was,
good. Yeah, so we started off a little iffy, but then by the end of it, you guys were friends. That's awesome. Yeah, no, it sounds fun. I definitely want to check out just to see even the local, like just artists there, right? There's so many people you could run into that would be amazing.
Yeah, you never know. I can't remember. It wasn't Lee Bryce. It was a different artist, but he was. There was a rumor that he was in town, and he has his own bar there. So we were in there for the first little bit, trying to maybe see if he was just gonna take over right there when you walk in, and then bam, right? Yeah. He ended up playing at I think it's called the Saddle Dome, the really big arena where the Nashville Predators play. It's right there. You could see it from Broadway. He was playing there that night. So, but really cool. Yeah. You never know what you're going to, and they have gift shops and stuff like that. So we're checking out cowboy hats and boots, and it's really, really unique experience to go there.
Yeah. You have to get your gear, a good pair of cowboy hats, a good hat to wear.
And an ungodly amount of bridal parties. The girls were all out in stacked in pink, having a good time. There was not a shortage of that. Let's put it that way. So
that's awesome. It sounds like it's fun.
Yeah. Well, I've got a fiance. Jeff is single. So we went down there for a work conference, and I think he had a sore neck because he's just left and right. He's just looking all over the place. A lot of good looking people down there. So it was pretty funny. Funny to watch anyway.
Yeah.
So in life, we pick this path, right? We decide, okay, it's the path I'm gonna walk, and we build our life as we walk through that path. But life is never perfect. It'll throw things at us, obstacles, life challenges. Sometimes people have to face tragedies in their life. Some people experience that a little bit more than other people do. And I've always been fascinated at the way that human beings overcome these challenges, right? It's a mindset thing, looking at the glass half full, pulling silver linings from things, and move forward through that, because we have to move forward. We have to find a way to navigate it. Businesses like yours come into play with a lot of that stuff, obviously. So I wanted to ask you if you've ever experienced a hardship, a life challenge that maybe you overcame, maybe it made you better, maybe it made you stronger, maybe you took some silver linings from it.
Yeah, I would say honestly, like it would probably be, I kind of mentioned it earlier. I didn't go much into detail, but just my own mental health struggles, just even from being younger. Like I just remember being little, like I want to say 3 or 4, and like having to do these rituals in my mind, whether it was like tap something twice or like turn the light on 4 times or something bad was going to happen. And, like really bad anxiety. And then growing up a lot of times, like through elementary school, even, or high school, just feeling down. My own mental health struggles, like in that way, perfectionism and these beliefs of not being good enough would always take over. And I think it was from those struggles and just, having like seeking my own therapy and talking to my doctor of what's going on. I think it's honestly what led me to where I am today, because I got curious about it. I wanted to learn more, and I wanted to help people. And I wanted people to know who I help, that they're not alone. And I know that's overused, but you're not the only one, right? I think when people go see a therapist, a lot of times, like even my clients will be like, is this normal? Or, these things like that. It's like, yeah, like we all experience hardships. We all experience struggles with our mental health. And I try to, without disclosing obviously all my history or anything, but be more vulnerable in the state of like, yeah, I've experienced something similar. Or yes, we as therapists, I always say we have our own shit. We all do. And that's a big part of being a therapist on the team, is like, we kind of own like, hey, we all have our own struggles and we seek our own therapy, and we're consistently working on our, mental health struggles, for personal growth or whatever our goal is. But I would say that would be like not a particular one hardship, but just mental health in general and just my journey with that. And yeah, I think it's got me to where I am here today, and, ignited some sort of passion for me. And I think it helps me honestly do good at what I do, because I do have a sense of understanding and empathy there.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I feel like validation of feelings is a big thing, right? When you can go in because you don't know how you're supposed to feel, and then have a conversation with somebody. And, I've done it. I went into therapy and said, like, am I supposed to feel this way?
Yeah.
It's like, I feel this way. And then it's, well, what emotions are you tacking on? And then she named like 4 emotions. I had 3 of the 4. So bang on how I feel. And she's like, no, it's normal. You feel this way.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. So now I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
Right? And then it's okay. Well, now that I know I'm supposed to feel this way, then we went through how to navigate, and what are some recommendations on doing, and some exercises and stuff if you're ever feeling a certain way to try to, center your chi and then move forward. Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what's one thing that you wish our listeners knew about your business?
I guess the one thing I hope everyone gets out of this podcast as well is that our team of therapists, we're all human here. So we accept all parts of you. I really hope everyone knows that when they come to our business and our therapist, that we're not here to judge you. We recognize that, we're not the expert. We're here to support you and guide you through your journey. And we want to create that safe, trusting environment with you, where you can show up authentically as yourself and not feel like you have to hide certain parts of you in the therapy room.
Very good. Yeah, that goes a long way. Building trust, to building confidence as well in somebody, to when you have that confidence to be able to do that, that also helps be foundational building blocks for a lot of other things that you might go out and do. It's always that unknown when you've never done it for the first time, right? And so it blocks you from doing it. It's not until you actually decide to do it, and then you get through that, and then it's just one thing after another, and you keep doing that. Well, then you look back on it and you're like, well, that's easy to do now. And it just helps you navigate through that next challenge. There's always challenges in life that we have to face, and knowing how to navigate those laneways are certainly an important thing.
Absolutely. And we always meet you where you're at. So we're not going to push you too far, we're really good at assessing and knowing, okay, where are you at? Let's start where that is. Let's tailor our needs to that. So we definitely make sure that you're comfortable and feeling like you are in a good space in the room.
Lovely. Awesome conversation. I think certainly some people are intrigued. Maybe they want to reach out, find out a little bit more information about you guys. And so for those who are, what would be one of the best ways that they can go ahead and do that?
Yeah, so I think the best way, you can head to our website. It's www.bf, so like bonafidetherapy.ca. You can also find us on social media at bona.fidetherapy, and text or call 705-716-7130.
Awesome stuff. Well, really, really cool conversation. Got to learn a couple things today. Lovely business, lovely people who run behind the business. Really looking forward to maybe doing this down the line.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
No worries, anytime.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast Midhurst. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpmidhurst.com. That's gnpmidhurst.com, or call 705-413-3775.